Okay, it appears that we are live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So, what the heck? So today yesterday actually, something really interesting happened. If you know me, I'm really not a fan of YouTube drama, but in this case, this needed to be addressed immediately. Nathan Oakley has done something so despicable that it's actually hard to comprehend this in the first instance. So on this panel today, I have Jam Panda here, along with Blue Marble, Sean Hufford, and Slice Barkane.
Hello.
Hey, Sly.
Hello.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Jam Panda, and hey, Blue Marble.
Hello.
Okay, so
Hey.
to give you guys a little bit of introduction, what happened the last few days. Approximately 1 week ago, Jam Panda created a new channel, actually renamed an old channel on his Discord server, to...
Children of the Flat Earth.
Exactly, Children of the Flat Earth. The purpose of the channel is to actually post videos of flat earthers trying to indoctrinate children. And Nathan Oakley had a really weird and frankly disturbing response to this. So in a hangout yesterday on his channel, I think number 390, he implied malicious intent to what Jam Panda actually did, and he doxed him. So, Jam, can you go a little bit more into detail about this, please?
Yeah, I mean, what he said was that I was gathering information on other people's children. So I think probably for clarity, I'll just read out what the purpose of the channel is, because I wrote a 2-line description in the channel. So it's easy enough just to read that out. And I put what I put in the channel right at the start, and I repeated this many times, so you got a whole page full of it. Basically, I put, please post timestamps of any instances of children being involved or indoctrinated with flat earthism, particularly references to changes to the education system, not necessarily footage actually featuring children. And Nathan presented this as me gathering information on other people's children, a set of words which were very carefully chosen, because I think they're not, technically they're not absolutely untrue, but they imply something which is totally untrue.
If you want,
I think that's he's played a game and created some drama. I should also add, he coupled this with a supposed phone call to the police to report this despicable crime, where he was put through to a crime desk, sort of put on hold. And as he was put on hold, there was a sort of automatic message that said it's an offence to falsely report a crime or something like that. And then there's a few more seconds of being on hold. And then he ended the hangout on this great moment of drama. And today they've made further claims that I haven't actually watched. I didn't watch today because I was busy, but I got various little snippets that they were saying the police were outside my house and, this sort of thing. And then as a result of this,
really?
sorry, I'm nearly there.
I actually haven't heard about this. Did they seriously say that the police were outside your house?
Well, apparently somebody reported that to me, but I'm not entirely sure who said it. Maybe it was said in the chat, or I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
but as a result of this,
without evidence, you should ignore it.
As a result of this, I've been called a paedophile, and I've had some death threats and this sort of thing, just because I've asked for some. My Discord server has 700 members. They're all people who are interested in this subject. They all have a memory of videos that they've seen and things that they've seen. And so, when you're trying to make a video of this nature, rather than just going on one's own memory and trying to pour through all this oneself, it's more efficient, and you can make a better job just by putting the idea out to others and allowing them the opportunity to contribute, because a lot of people they like to take part in making a video, if they don't want to actually do the whole thing themselves. So it's a good thing to do. It makes it easier for me. Other people like to do it. It's the server is completely open. Anyone can join it. That channel is the most open channel on the server. You don't even need a role on the server to post in the channel. So
I'd like to point something out here. Carefully chosen words is one thing. I mean, I've seen that enough times. People coming up on chats on mine and all this, where they try and dance around subjects and all this other shit. Nathan, in order to egg you further on in the chat, what do you call it? He's not should I say, using carefully chosen words in the chat. He has on here, for example, at 1 hour 23 minutes, Jim Panda is gathering information about other people's children. It's repugnant. And then further on, he goes on. I hope you get. I hope you lose your balls in jail, Jim. You sick fuck. And then right after that, gathering information on other people's kids like a sick pervert, Jim Panda.
Yes, he repeatedly implied in one way or another that Jem is some sort of pedophile or predator.
Right, because that's not carefully chosen words. That is accusation and slander.
Yes, and he not only did this orally, he didn't only speak about this, he also posted it various times in the Hangout. It's written, it's there. You can take a look at it.
But unfortunately, Gem Panda isn't a real person, and you can't slander a YouTube channel name.
Well, that's where
you can only slander an actual person.
But then he doxed your real name and continued with the accusations.
He did, but I'm willing to bet that where my real name is used, he isn't saying things like pedophile and pervert. I mean, I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that he's been very careful to only say with my name that I'm gathering information on other people's children.
And I'd only like to also say one last
in the legal sense. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's your channel, man. Go.
Okay. Does it really make a difference in the legal sense on whether he's using the word pedophile or predator when talking about your channel name or your real name? Because if he strongly implies, or if he doxes you and tells your real name repeatedly, it kind of is clear to everybody who is watching that you are who you are, right?
Well, I would have thought so, but as far as YouTube is concerned, when you make a report under the defamation category, it does not allow you to enter a channel name. You can only do it under your personal name.
Actually, I beg to differ.
Or the name of the business.
I beg to differ because of the fact that your channel name is actually your online persona, and people associate that with you directly. And I'd also like to say that, Nathan, it's really not a good idea to try and make people look bad when you have your address out in public. Just thought I'd point that out. But further stuff on here. Stop gathering information about other people's children. If you continue, I will send my information to the police for fear that you are a predator.
Yeah. There's also the fact that he broadcasted said phone call live on his stream, which, according to UK law, is also a crime. The reason being that in some countries, you actually have to have the permission of both parties in a call for it to be recorded. The UK appears to be one of those.
Me and Anthony have actually been over this before. UK is a two-party consent country. And since he did talk to a live person and did not inform them that they were being recorded, he did break the law.
I think that's true as well, because I worked in a call center for a while, and occasionally we would get people who would, I was doing technical support, and people would ring up and say, I've rung up 8 times before, I'm recording you this time. And we would have to say, I'm afraid I have to end the call if you don't stop recording me. You aren't allowed to record me. And they would say, but you're recording me, it says so. I said, but you have the choice not to phone me. I don't have the choice not to take your call. So you have to stop recording. And that, as far as I was concerned, it was certainly a rule. I cannot say for certain it was a law, but I imagine it would have been.
Now, I heard some interesting things in Nathan's little short hangout or little clip from the hangout that he keeps repeating with you, Gio, today.
Yes.
He gets kind of vague on what he declares as gathering information on children. Can you explain what he was eventually trying to get to the point across as?
Okay. So what he kind of implied was that the intended purpose of said channel was to actually gather personal information. He didn't like completely say it, but he kind of implied that people were finding out addresses or names, that kind of thing, to actually for this hangout to be useful for potential predators to track those children in question.
Well, it's absolutely not about that. I mean,
Yeah,
Well, hold on. I've got a point here.
Definitely not about that,
sorry,
but that's what Nathan implied.
But I've got a point here because during his little cut and paste and edited version, he states that just, gathering the faces of these kids is gathering information. Gio, you know where I'm about to go with this, because I don't remember Nathan calling the police on Jaren. And
Jaren uses pedophiles as a punchline anyway.
Right, Jaren has on his channel
October
interviews
17th.
with two children who were being interviewed about
No.
sexual abuse allegations.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
For a second. October 17th, 2016, he has a video up says, "Who says Earth is flat?" Video submissions from a year ago. He has several clips with families of children on camera, and Nathan didn't bat an eyelash.
Right.
Hypocrisy at its greatest, Nathan. Why didn't you call the police on Jaren for being a pedophile?
Right.
Why just Jem for doing the same exact thing?
Because he needs Jaren.
And my thing isn't really, I mean, if I can sort of elaborate a little bit further, sorry to be a bit ranty, but I kind of feel like I need to tell the story.
Don't say that word.
Yeah. But the purpose of my video I want to raise issues about this. I want to raise the questions about this. But I think there is a debate to be had here because, from my atheistic standpoint, parents all over the world, the vast majority of them, teach their children things which I consider to be untrue. And I would never advocate stopping those people. I wouldn't want that to happen. That just isn't a thing I would ever have as an agenda. And so, people have argued that it's none of my business to even make any statement about what other people teach their children. And I have to agree. I think those people, to some extent at least, have a point. Do we? What right do we have? And where do we draw the line? And who do we choose to draw the line? And those were the sort of questions I wanted to raise in the video. It wasn't necessarily. I was going to express my own opinion, which is sort of anti the idea generally of teaching this to children, but I was also going to question my own right to even have that opinion. So that was the idea of my video. It wasn't totally against flat Earth, but it was challenging.
Yeah, this was actually a point I was trying to raise while I was in the hangout of today. We all agree that a parent cannot do anything with his child, right? There are borders. Mm-hmm. Is a set of parents allowed to starve their children? That's the extreme case. Is a set of parents allowed to not have the set of doctors doing a necessary medical procedure for religious reasons, for example?
Right?
So as soon as you say there is a border somewhere, the only question is, where is that? And I actually think that when it comes to education, there's stuff that is so damaging for the later life of the children that it's not only the parents' business to deal with this. There must be a point when the state is able to intervene.
Right. Can I offer an absurd example that I came up with?
Sure, go ahead.
To sort of test this idea philosophically. Supposing I decide that I believe that Coco the clown is the living embodiment, or was the living embodiment of our Lord God, creator of the universe. And as a result of this, I think that that my children should spend every day dressed as a clown with, like a stripy one-piece clown suit with a frilly neck and a red nose and a silly hat on. And I will forego the big clown shoes for safety reasons. But I'm going to send my child to school dressed as a clown. Is it my right as a parent to do that? And I'm going to do that every day. They're going to go to school dressed as a clown because Coco the clown is the Lord of the universe.
I just want to say that religion makes a lot more sense than Christianity.
Yeah, at least we know Coco the clown existed.
Well, yeah. But you see my point. To me, I would say that would be cruel to a child to do that.
Yes. I mean, definitely. And
right. So, and it seems to me there isn't a massive step from dressing your child like a clown to telling your child to go to school and tell people the Earth's flat.
And not necessarily only telling them that the Earth is flat, but to indoctrinate them into this conspiracy theory that everybody is lying to you and that whatever information is given to you might be false or is probably false. That's potentially very endangering and dangerous, in my opinion. And
let me throw one thing in there. When it comes down to, see, the bad part is and the ironic part about this is that the gray line starts at religion. Okay, in other words, you can be a Buddhist in a primarily Christian country, and that's not against the law. Okay, now there are some countries out there that actually, frown upon other religions, blah blah blah, and all this. So, if it were a belief system, that's one thing. Okay, but when you're talking about fact, testable, provable, scientific fact, okay, that's where I think that goes beyond the black line. Okay, meaning that's where it is actually damaging to somebody to tell them that 2 + 2 = 3. Okay,
I agree.
I think that's where the difference should be. See, if it comes down to a belief system, to quote Penn Jillette, it's an automatic tie. Okay, you can't prove it, you can't disprove it. It's a belief system. There's belief systems all over the world. But when it comes down to actually damaging the individual's ability to function in the world around them, okay, by giving them literally false information, then I think that's where the line should be.
I agree totally. I think that is where it lies. I think that flat Earth, or no, let's say, I think the globe is something that is proven using every tool at our disposal that could possibly prove it. It has been proven. There are no other ways that it can be proven. If you don't consider it to be proven, you're wrong. That's it. As far as there just is there's no other way to prove it to you than what's been offered already. You just have to be wrong.
Right.
Well, my big thing about the whole children with flat Earth is, yes, you can homeschool these kids, but at some point they're going to want to get some kind of actual education.
Actually, Sean, not necessarily. In many European countries, it's actually illegal to homeschool.
Well, I'm not sure about the UK, so Nathan may be out the hook. He may not be.
I don't know either. It's definitely illegal over here.
It's pretty liberal.
But my point is they're being raised by their parents to say all education is indoctrination of lies. So they're going to, when they eventually do have to go to school to learn something that's outside of a basic homeschooling scenario, they're going to have these attitudes with their teachers that, why should I bother? You're teaching me lies. That's going to affect them not only with their grades, it's going to affect them with what they learn. It's going to affect how their other fellow students are going to treat them with. They're all going to think that they're absolute idiots, and it could end up coming down to physical violence at some point.
Could that be said of, say, an Amish parent and child?
But that's belief system.
That's a belief system, and with their belief system, that at least over here in Amish, I live right outside of Amish country, northern Indiana. There's Amish everywhere, and they are homeschooled. but they aren't taught. They don't. They have to make a choice when they're like 16 years old whether they want to go and turn their back to the Amish ways, and then they can actually go out and get a real education that's modern education, I should say, or they stay in the Amish community and they don't worry about any kind of education that deals with outside of their world.
Right.
They're separate from everything pretty much.
I mean, the other issue I wanted to raise in this is that, for instance, Bob Nodell was asked at a Flat Earth meetup by a reporter. This was, when it was in the run up to the conference last year.
Oh, Bob Dumplings.
He was asked what the what the goals of the Flat Earth movement were. And he said, changes in the changing the education system. That's so. This isn't just about what a parent teaches their own child. He's not the only person. That Anthony Riley said at one point that he thought that both ideas should be taught in school. I've heard lots of other flat earthers saying.
What this reminds me of? I do remember about a decade ago, actually. The entire scandal about the wedge strategy in the United States,
right?
About creationists trying to install creationist judges and teachers to actually change the how can I say it? Change the entire culture, basically.
I personally think that a great idea. I think a great idea would be, honestly, sure. As much as it already is, okay, because the notion of the Earth being flat and then later proven to be round is part of the curriculum, okay. It's not hidden, okay, but you'll find it in social studies, you'll find it in science, you'll find that in American schools right now, which is fine that it's there, as long as it's as long as it's said that, okay, at one point we all thought that the Earth was flat. Everybody did. Okay. But then later, as time went by and experimentation happened and actual science took place and things that actually could test something, once that came about, it was proven that the Earth was round. Okay. I have no problem that, I even remember when I was going to high school and stuff like that, I heard religion brought up a couple of times, but it's the difference is there's a difference between teaching it as part of the curriculum, that a belief system did drive this country to do that, or the Inquisition or whatever and all that other stuff. It's okay that it's there as long as it's not being forced on the person to believe that subject. You know what I mean? It's okay to say that, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, it's okay to bring all that shit up. Okay. But when it's turned around and said, you will believe this, that's when it's wrong. And the same thing with flat Earth. If you want to bring that up in a science class, cool. Bring it up. Because people should be aware of the fact that at one point in time, people thought that the Earth was flat. And so they can also laugh at the people out on the street or on YouTube who are actually trying to say that it still is. I don't have a problem with people mentioning it and stuff, but when you try what these guys, people like Bob Dumplings and all them are saying, they're not saying that it should be introduced into schools as something that has transpired at some point in history. That's not what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that it should be taught. And that's where you're wrong. So,
and the question that arises now is, how do we actually deal with Nathan Oakley doing this? Because I think he clearly stepped over a line that we can't allow him to step over again, and which we cannot allow him to go over without actually facing some consequences.
Well, I'm not. I've reported his video to YouTube, and I had a video removed for very, very, very infinitely less than Nathan's done, but it's YouTube, and these ideas are, the way they work these things are very odd, and who knows if they'll do anything at all.
Well, here's an idea. How many people we got watching this video?
204.
Holy shit, man.
Yep, that actually might be a personal record for me.
So everybody go over to the video and report it.
Well, is it actually okay to report it like this, or do you have to be the person affected?
No, you can report it as somebody else being slandered, I think.
You can. I think you report somebody else being bullied. I think.
Hold on a second. I'll go over there and I'll check. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Thanks, Sly.
Because I was just there. And by the way, I was admiring the thumbnails you had for faking flat.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think that looks cool. Hold on a second here. History. Okay. 390. So let me go ahead and do this. Because
So, while you're doing this, Jem, if you want, you can post the link to your Discord server in the side chat, so that the viewers can actually take a look at said channel.
Yeah. Yeah, I will do that. Let's.
Oh wait, I think you need to be moderator first. So just post a comment so I can give you a range.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Hold on.
There we go. So let's see.
So would we
moderator.
we would consider this hateful or abusive content, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, by the way, let me make sure I put this out public because I'm sure somebody's going to soundbite this saying that we're trying to create a mob. I personally am doing this. I'm doing this because I find it despicable what Nathan did. Nobody else has to do this, but in order to get the video down, YouTube needs to know. So let's see, hateful or abusive content, bullying. I don't know if bullying would even cover it.
Not so much, no.
I mean, neither of us is a legal expert or something, but this appears to be falling into the area of slander or libel. At least here it would. No idea how UK laws or how UK judges are actually dealing with this. But I'm pretty sure it's a clear violation of YouTube's terms of service.
Yeah. It's just a matter of finding the right thing for it, though. Suicide, something, no. Adults fighting? Really?
No. Going by mental age, I wouldn't count them as adults.
So yeah, anybody's. I've just seen about half a dozen people have just joined the server as I posted the link. So if you just look up on the left-hand side there, you'll see the channel. It's called Children of the Flat Earth. I renamed it last week. It was previously called Oakley is a Wanker. and I used it for basically the same purpose, for people to post links of Nathan behaving very badly. And that was, those links were used in producing my last video, which was faking flat 4, which is basically Nathan behaving badly.
I just want to say,
I'm actually gonna put this.
Is probably the most British sentence I've ever heard you say.
I'm gonna put this actually as hateful or abusive content promotes hatred or violence.
Yes, I mean, implying that somebody might be a predator while simultaneously doxing that person,
right?
Kind of is a dangerous thing to do regarding the safety of said person.
Right. Oh wow, optional. I believe this content should be restricted under the network enforcement law. Interesting.
What's that about? I have no idea.
Oh,
it's a minefield these days, I think.
Okay, so describe why you think this content is illegal. Okay, so
Jeffrey, opinion in the side chat. I actually won't post the link to Nathan's hangout here because the title contains the real name of somebody. So if you really want to find it, you know how to do it. But I won't link to something that pretty much doxes somebody.
Thank you, Gio. That's thoughtful. But yeah, as Sly says, he's doing this personally. If anyone else goes there and they feel that this is offensive, please feel free to do what you feel you need to do to it.
Oh, we now have one downvote. So hello, Nathan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lewis, actually, who's in the chat, was telling me earlier that he went to a Lutheran high school where he was taught flat Earth, and this was taught as an exercise in critical thinking.
Wait,
So
what?
he said all the arguments that we hear every day he heard at school, and all the rebuttals to them and all this, he already knew them all. How cool is that? I'm kind of not actually against flat Earth being taught in school in that context.
Oh, 3 downvotes. Hello, Riley and Renty. Maybe Arwin. Who knows?
Yeah, it does sound like they're here, doesn't it? Oh dear. I think we're developing a conspiratorial mindset here, Gio.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the evidence
Trying to,
for this
we're already
claim
starting to
barely
feel the effect of dealing with these people pretty much every week. So, Blue, are you still here?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. I just want to clarify something. Boolionator said, I was raised Lutheran. Lutherans don't believe that shit. That's a cop-out, Gem Panda. I wasn't saying they believed it. He, like I say, he was taught it as an exercise in critical thinking. He specifically said at the end of the week when they were taught this, everyone came out thinking the Earth was a globe. And that, I guess, was the purpose of, or part of the purpose of the exercise.
So, the reason why I invited you, Blue, is you actually had something weird happening regarding Oakley as well today, and I think also yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, can you elaborate on this, please, a little bit?
So I'm trying to join Oakley's live stream hangout thing to just actually debate on the flat Earth, but every time he does, he just kicks me out instantly. So I don't know what his problem is.
Yeah,
The list is long.
I can actually answer this. When he kicked you today, the first thing he said after kicking you was, "They are starting to send minors now." End quote.
Yeah, he's been saying that for a couple of days that
yes,
you were being sent, but we've the Globers have sent you in.
So
he didn't specifically mention Gem Panda sent me over to.
Right.
Going back to this conspiracy theory stuff, I actually think that Oakley only kicks you because he doesn't want to be shown to be less intelligent than a 14-year-old live on air.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, just want to butt in. My report says that author repeatedly accuses another user named Jim Panda 2012 of inappropriate activities regarding children and wrongly alluding to pedophilia in the chat. That's me.
That's good. I like that.
Send it.
Very concise. God, excuse me.
Oh, have something in the background. I think, Jem, that's you. Yeah, he's muted himself.
Yeah. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that, I got to duck out because I got to take my dog out and going to bed after this because some of us got to get up and work in the morning there, Gio. And
yeah, I'm in the fortunate position to actually have 1 week of vacation starting tomorrow.
There you go.
Even though I probably won't be at home starting Wednesday, I think, because I'll drive up to my grandparents to pay them a visit.
There you go. But I'd just like to throw one other thing in because while I was tortured into listening to the hangout as I was reading the chat, because that's the only way you can get to scroll through, kudos to Arwen, by the way, because Arwen was trying to have the discussion with Riley of saying that while he understands completely density and buoyancy and stuff, he's not Riley would not offer up an explanation for the directions of it.
Yes, Arvin apparently is intelligent enough to understand that there must still be a force that's causing the movement. Or
Right,
the
and
acceleration
Riley
of the
kept on
device.
saying, "Okay, let's put ourselves an egg in the middle of a pool and all this," and I'm just like, "Dude, you're not hearing it, you know." And that is, you are not determining. Obviously, you know, one's going to go up, one's going to go down, but you're not determining why up and down are the directions that are aligned there. So, Riley, you're still a dumbass. So, ladies and gents, I'm out. I got to get.
Okay, thank you very much, Sly, for paying us a visit.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Sure.
Laters.
Laters. Okay, so Sean, I'm not familiar whatsoever with like YouTube's internal mechanisms regarding this kind of thing. But how likely do you actually think that this will lead to some sort of community strike?
I'm probably going to be, well, it's probably going to actually get several community strikes. It's not just one, because this goes over the course of several videos now. So he might actually get 3 or 4 strikes out of this.
So I'm not really somebody that thinks that he should be banned from YouTube or something.
I don't either. I just think he needs to own up to the fact that he's purpose. You know, he's had to have read Jem's Discord. That's why he's not. That's why he's not letting anyone else read it.
Riley had the information, and Riley informed Nathan about this. Because when I was in the chat today, Riley was actually quoting it. So when Riley has the information, Nathan obviously has it as well. What I was actually thinking about is, like, if it comes to, if it does happen that the community strike that might ensue will lead to a termination or at least a blocking of Nathan's live streams, I don't think that's actually useful.
Probably not. He'll just
probably not.
Already has other channels.
The presence as a, and I'm drawing the parallel again to creation as a poster boy for flat earth stupidity, if everybody understands the reference, is actually useful to this. Maybe it would be better that if a ban or something like that is imminent, that we should just make Nathan apologize.
I don't think he'll do that.
Well, I think it would be actually more painful for him to do this instead of losing his privileges regarding live streams.
Yeah, although, you know, like I say, we'll have to wait and see what YouTube do on that, because really only they have the power, don't they? And, you know, people have said all sorts of crazy stuff online and seem to have gotten away with it. And then other people have you know, made little jokes about people and had videos removed. So it's...
I mean, but calling somebody a pedophile is pretty much the worst accusation one can make.
It is pretty bad, yeah, I have to admit. But, you know, this is the fight we're in, I guess. You know, I think this is an issue that, you know, another thing I would say is I've heard, for instance, a woman phoning up Dell's show to ask Dell his advice on what she should do about her daughter being taught the globe in school.
Oh God, I have to interrupt you. Somebody in the side chat, a guy called Jovan McCaddy, suggests that we should send G-Man to Nathan.
Yeah, like, that would be fun.
I'm in favor of Nathan being punished for what he did, but this is fucking cruel. No,
that would be bad.
That would be. I think that would count as animal abuse at this point.
Yeah, I've heard another flat earther, you know, sobbing in a hangout about the fact that their child was being taught the globe. So I think a video that looks at these issues, you know, the ideas surrounding. Oh, another example. Authentic Intent. I don't know if you know him. He does a bit of a street activist guy. There was a time when he was in an ice hockey stadium in Minneapolis, I think, where he is, and he sat next to this guy who's got a 9-year-old child with him, and he says, to the kid, Santa Claus isn't real. They're lying to you about that. And the father nearly punches him. But, that's a flat earther. I mean, I'm not saying all flat earthers would follow that line, but that is the reason he said that is because he's a flat earther. He told a kid that Santa wasn't real. I mean, I think these are issues that need to be looked at, that should be questioned and challenged and considered. And, these days, a video on YouTube is a good way to do that.
So, just for everybody, I just invited Micro. So, hello, Micro.
Hello.
What's your opinion on this?
That Nathan is an even bigger asshole than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much all agree on this, but what kind of an asshole is he? Like, we're talking about diameter here, like 7, maybe 8 centimeters.
Have you ever heard of do you know what a fistula is?
No, but that sounds painful.
So a fistula is something that can happen all over your body. It's when two parts of your body, two like cavities of your body that aren't supposed to be connected are connected. Anal fistulas is when the inside of your anus and the outside of you, so your skin around your anus, is connected by a little tube.
Don't share any pictures. I don't want to scrub out my eyes with wire brushes and gasoline again.
Yeah,
that's the kind of asshole he is.
You don't want that picture in your mind that you can't unsee.
No, the one I chewed were enough last time.
Having seen it, yeah, you don't.
Wait, you mean like in real life or in pictures?
In pictures.
Thank God. Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm not sure what can be done really about his activities. I think he's being, he's trying to be quite clever and careful in what he's doing.
Well, I think in the next few days or maybe weeks, we should have a very close eye on him if something like this happens to happen again.
Right. Because
if he does it once and gets off scot-free, there's a high chance he will repeat something like this.
And he's slandered people, despicably before as well. Before me, I mean, Mick West was called all sorts of things. Not paedophile, I have to say. And Scott Veach, another one, was Daddy's lying to you, Daddy lied to you, and all this sort of business.
Yeah, I mean, he called me a liar today. I don't know if you have seen this, but he actually cut out about 10 minutes or so of his hangout today when I joined and re-uploaded this as a single video.
Right.
I mean, being called a liar by Nathan Oakley is pretty much a badge of honor at this point.
Yeah, he is just a, silly arse making drama.
He told me to shut off and go back to my Transformers, which is like kids' toys or something.
Well, that's a kid's toy from when he was a child.
Right.
He's probably still carrying it around in a cavity.
Also, how is that an insult? Go back to do a thing that's fun. Oh no, how terrible.
Yeah. I have a comic collection.
Hey, I collect retro computers.
I have an Amiga, a 1200.
C64.
I'm thinking of because you can buy a 3D printed case for them now, actually in different colors as well. So
for the Amiga or for the C64?
For the Amiga, probably for the C64 as well.
I would assume
actually buy still new cases, new old stock or something.
Because my case is like almost bright yellow, but in a sort of dirty way, because they were, creamy white, weren't they? And
yeah, but you know that you can actually reverse the yellowing process.
I've looked.
I've done that. It's easy to do. You really can't fuck it up.
I don't know. It did. When I saw
Well, you
it,
can fuck it up, but it's quite
Yeah,
hard.
you can, but it's hard. All you need is sunlight. Well, you're in the UK, you won't get any sunlight.
yeah.
So command back.
But I saw someone do it on YouTube, and it wasn't. He kind of did it, then he had to do it again, and then it didn't look great. And I just thought probably the best way around this is just to buy a bright purple case or.
Yeah,
You know what? I can
black
get
I
behind getting a
did
bright
this
purple.
was the following way. I actually bought a plastic tub for it, approximately 40 times 60 times 15 centimeters, and you fill it with water, distilled water if possible, and then throw in about 1 liter of hydrogen peroxide solution. Put a bunch of foil on top of this and put it in sunlight for about a day. And that works perfectly. Just make sure that you turn it around every now and then to make sure that everything is evenly exposed.
Right.
Yeah, it's very easy.
It's like slow cooking a roast.
Somebody said, I don't know how true this is, that once you've done this, they're kind of extra susceptible to re-yellowing.
No, they're not. They're not. Quite the opposite, actually. So the chemistry behind this is the following. Those old machines, in the plastic contains bromine atoms as a fire retardant. Now, when bromine atom or the polymer containing bromine has contact with UV radiation, the bromine atoms will split off the polymer and form dibromine molecules, Br2 molecules. Now, if you're a little bit familiar with bromine, the actual Br2 molecule is a yellow liquid. No, not really yellow, like more orangey red.
It's It's basically the color that.
Yes, it's pretty much the color that the stuff gets.
I think I remember it from
the concentration is very, very low, and those bromine atoms will actually stay inside the plastic. What the hydrogen peroxide will do is oxidize it, and obviously this is a surface effect, right? Only the surface is affected by the UV radiation. But that means that after the treatment, the plastic surface will be actually pretty much free of bromine atoms, which means that any re-yellowing might happen, but it will happen much more slowly because the polymer that must be then affected is deeper inside the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, interesting. Thank you very much for that.
And it doesn't actually. The thing is, it doesn't actually damage the plastic itself. So it's not like you're not damaging the case.
The only thing that can happen is if you use a too high temperature to do it. Like I actually tried to apply heat instead of UV radiation, and I melted the keyboard. Don't do that. I think I have pictures of this. Pretty annoying thing.
I'm really
obviously it was just a testing keyboard I tried.
Idea because of what I'd seen and read. I thought this is a bit too hit and miss.
Very easy. It's very, very easy. If you buy the 3% hydrogen peroxide solution, you can buy it at pharmacies or at Amazon. There's no way you can fuck it up. It's actually relatively cheap. Like you will get a liter for about, at least in Germany, for about 8 or 9 euros. And I imagine
and you really,
the same in the UK.
You really only need the 3%. You don't need to go like 35%.
No, wait, Micro. I wouldn't deal with 35% solution anyway. The stuff is too hard to handle. It's not easy to handle even when you're in a chemical lab.
I handle it all the time.
If you have skin contact with it, this might actually be rather dangerous. At least.
Okay, I'm pouring it in. The only thing I do with it is pour it into a flask with some warm soap water. Then put some catalase in it, put a finger over it, and have it explode in lovely, lovely foam.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even the 3% solution kind of attacks your skin.
Well, yeah, it's hydrogen peroxide.
I know. I wouldn't actually recommend anybody to use it when they're not familiar with it whatsoever. So 3% is actually
also
fine.
the point. That's all the point. I said that he doesn't need to go that. He can do it with the.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's a fair point. So going back from this little tangent, is there anything regarding Nathan we haven't covered yet? Oh yeah, of course. So this entire police call thing. I don't know if you're aware of this, but he was talking about it again in today's hangout. He said that the police officer to who he spoke actually thanked him for him, and that a division of like people who are familiar with like cybercrime or something would look into it. The funny thing is that he ended the hangout yesterday exactly at the same time when he was connected to somebody from, what was it called, Crime Desk?
Yeah.
Right.
Which I find rather suspicious.
Yes, I think he was actually connected to the police. I think that he ended the show and then I think he ended the call. I don't believe that he went further and reported it to the police. But if he has, well, you know, the police can go in the hangout and they can see what
Fuck it, the police.
for, and then they will instantly know that he, you know, deliberately distorted the facts, you know, to try and, you know, sort of get at someone, you know. That,
I mean, if it's the cybercrime division that's going in on it, they will probably join the Discord and look at it.
Yeah,
Right.
I really liked his implication that he had towards me today. He asked me that if you were indeed a pedo, wouldn't you be intelligent enough to not say in the Discord channel that you were looking for the info of children? To which the obvious answer is, yeah, I mean, if you were a pedo, then you wouldn't use Discord.
right. Not a 700 member Discord where the 700 members could be anyone and include Nathan. You know,
And they're there for a very different reason.
right. I mean, I can ban people, but I have no control over who joins. And sometimes I'm away from that Discord for days. I mean, I don't personally, I don't always, I mean, there are moderators, of course, but
Yeah.
you know, people can pretty much, it's free and, you know, open, and, you know, people can do what they like there, you know.
It would also be quite a lot of work to put into it for that purpose.
Right. I mean, why would you post it where everyone can see it? You know?
The thing is, when I tried to explain it to him, he wouldn't answer, and he would go back to the first question he posted.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna head out now, but just wanted to say, Oakley, just you're not funny with the kid jokes, whatever. I just came onto your show because someone was bugging me in the comments to debate you for some reason. I just came in to try and have a debate, but obviously he doesn't. He's too scared. So, see you guys later.
See you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
First of all, thanks for joining. And second of all, to the people in the site, in the live chat, watching this, do yourself a favor and subscribe to Blue Marble. He's for his age, he's fucking intelligent, and he will probably be one of the more popular anti-flat earthers or flat earth debunkers in the next few months to years. He's putting out good content, and I just want to recommend him to you.
Yeah, we are
Thank
old.
you.
Don't watch us. We are old news. We need.
Yep.
He's fresh. He's the fresh blood.
Yep. Since he hasn't dealt with so much bullshit, he still has something like a soul. But don't worry, that'll go away.
Gio, no one has a soul. It's not
See ya.
real.
You know what I mean.
Why are we whispering?
So that the live chat can't hear us.
I'm pretty sure they can. This is taking a very weird tangent.
Yeah.
It's neuro-linguistic programming.
Something.
So Sean, is there something you want to point out about this entire thing that happened?
Right now, I'm dealing with something that's not related to the Nathan Oakley thing.
Oh, what a shame.
More YouTube drama.
Yeah, it's really a shame that it always has to end like this at some point or one another. I hate it. But actually, I would have preferred to stay out of this. But in this case, Nathan behaved so vile that I didn't think it was responsible to ignore it at this point.
I agree to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for your support, Gio. You know, thank you for that.
Sure. Should it come to, or should it happen that any other type of action would be taken, you obviously can count on my support.
Cool. Thank you, mate. And if anyone wants, like I say, please do join the Discord if you fancy it. It's
you can post the link
basically a
again. It's
bunch of,
fine.
700 grumpy old men mostly, moaning about flat earthers and sometimes engaging in debate with them. That's what we are.
Oh no, how terrible. It's obviously a sex ring.
Remember, we're YouTubers, we don't have sex.
Oh, and do check out my Faking Flat series, which looks at the flat earth debate and the dishonesty that's gone on in that route.
Well, there's actually something I'm curious about. Do you think that this entire allegation made by Nathan is a result of you publishing or talking about him in your latest installment of Faking Flat?
I wouldn't like to sort of bestow that upon myself. I think he's fairly reluctant to watch things that are, like a lot of flat earthers. He's reluctant to watch things like that. So I'm not sure that he's watched it at all, or if he has watched it, if he's watched, maybe just flicked through it and not watched it very thoroughly. I think, though, it's possible that plays a part, and I think it's possible the whole George Natchik thing is also playing a part. He wants a way to get back at us over that. And I think more than that, I think he wants to generate drama and consequently views, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's probably a combination.
He's been relatively successful about this. Yesterday, his hangout had about 80 viewers at the end, and as soon as the entire Discord drama started, it went up for over 150 pretty quickly.
Right.
So I'm not sure if he's doing this on purpose, but if he is, then he's even more fuckface than I thought.
I think he is. I think his words have been carefully chosen. I think he understands the purpose of that channel, and I think he just found a way of presenting it to make it sound like it's pedophilia. And of course, the pack of dogs that are the flat Earth community. All they need is a shouty man to say something that allows them to the belief that they've got some secret knowledge that other people don't have, that the asleep people don't have. That's all they need. They don't need any evidence, just someone to assert something with confidence, and off they go and believe it. Because it makes them feel happy.
So as you see, I invited the Rumpus. Hey, Rumpus.
Oh, hi,
Hey.
Rumpus.
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Alex. Yeah. Oh God, what? And Nathan, what a tosser! What a complete tosser. No, he did claim his children on there or something, some pictures of his children or something on that thing, which obviously
that's something we actually haven't spoken about. Like he said, Anthony and Arvin actually argued that when you make a documentary or whatever kind of video you're planning, Jem, that you need to have the consent of the parents of those children in question. Now, the point that is relevant about this is the parents kind of already gave their consent as soon as they uploaded footage on YouTube,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
As soon as you do this, you kind of lose certain rights to the footage. For example, the right that other people won't use parts of it for fair criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was drivel, his point about that. About they kept on they spent about 10 minutes going on about consent this, consent that. Yes, that's when you decide to approach someone with a camera in the public space, and then you say, "Do you mind if I take pictures of your children?" Off. We haven't done that yet. These people have volunteered their own footage of their own children.
Yes, for example, Nathan is regularly shown on his channels, on his hangout, having his daughter on his lap while simultaneously smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. That's completely different.
Obviously, it would be fine. Obviously, it would be fine for people to point out that that's kind of not a good thing to do for obvious reasons,
right?
And it would be justified to use the footage from that.
Right.
Yeah, that kid is already damaged enough.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't, you know, I don't think him having, you know, that isn't a thing I was going to put in my video
No.
anyway.
No, I wouldn't either.
And if I had used any images of children, well, like I say, my plan was to blur them out and alter their voices. And
oh, great. I was going to ask about that, Jeremy. Yeah, because
Right.
I mean, I was wondering if I did think that possibly, as I understood what you were doing, I did think it was a little bit naive, possibly, to set up a channel that said these sorts of things. And you know that people like Nathan and God knows who else are going to take advantage of it.
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear what it says.
I didn't think. I think you could have worded it a little bit better. In the quote, I haven't actually looked at myself. I just got given some quote of the line. There's about 2 sentences or something describes what you want,
Right.
and I think you could have made it clearer in that sentence, saying, "I'm going to make a documentary, and I want examples of the issue of indoctrination to be of children. That doesn't involve necessarily pictures of children or just."
Well, I did say that.
Yeah, you did at the end, but you said not necessarily. So you need to make sure that at the first, it's the thing you're interested in is the indoctrination of children. Now, it just so happens that pictures of that, or I mean, it could be presumably a timestamp of some adult saying that's what they're going to do would be quite.
Well, again,
sufficient.
I said that. You know, I did.
Yeah, you did indeed, but you didn't quite put it in the right order that I would have done. I mean, but the point is, the emphasis was still, it's quite clear what your intentions were, even if the sentence wasn't quite perfect.
Right, and well, the reason that last sentence was there about not necessarily footage of children was because I knew this is an issue. You know what I mean? That I didn't want to have to deal with. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be able to blur loads of faces out and things like that because it's a pain in the arse to do from an editing standpoint. You know what I mean? So it would be better if I could make the points I want to make without actually having any kids or maybe, you know, maybe like, for instance, that one of the things that sprang to my mind was Bob Nodell saying this thing about he wanted to change the education system, or that was a goal of Flat Earth. And another one that sprang to mind was when this 11-year-old stood up at the Flat Earth conference and asked a question, and Mark Sargent cheered him on. And I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that happens without the kid ever being on camera. You just hear him.
Right.
So I thought, you know, that might be a good. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's a great one. Yeah. That
was what was going through my head. But until you've got
sure it was. Yeah.
in front of you, you know what I mean? You can't, you know, necessarily, you know, you can't say exactly what you're going to do with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's really where it was.
I agree with you. You know, I think intentions are clear, but I did think you were a little bit naive, and even not being super careful about what you were saying, and knowing that that people like Nathan were going to take advantage of this, because it was obvious that's what they were going to do, and I would have predicted it. And, well, yeah, I'm doing hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I mean, obviously, you can sort of see if they've actually got pictures of their children on there, although they volunteered it, and even though it's not illegal, they could still say, well, the spirit of this is not good. I mean, but obviously, we now live in a rather society where, for instance, adults are now frightened of touching children.
Exactly.
There's a whole ream now of criticism in the papers and things saying we've got into a society now because of these accusations of paedophilia that come out of everywhere. Now everybody's afraid of touching children, and I would be as well. You know, you think of some children running around in a bloody shopping mall or something, you think, oh God, you know, if you get involved with that, you get this right old trouble. I've seen interviews with men saying, I absolutely didn't want to touch or get involved with this poor child that was in distress state, and then you've got these mothers and women saying, oh my God, we're in a situation now where no men can actually assist the child for fear of immediately being accused of being a paedophile.
Right, and yeah, I mean, there is this sort of, you know, one of the things that's been said to me is that I shouldn't have used the word children in the channel title. Just the word children.
Yeah, and Nathan's taking advantage of this paranoia.
This is hysteria.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
they've showed the paedophile, I think, is no different to it was whenever it was 100 years ago or something. It's just more publicised now.
Right.
So it's just paranoia. It was an obvious lever that someone like Nathan, who's got obviously no morals really whatsoever. I think we're familiar with that idea.
Right. But I don't think going to use it. What I put there, Rumpus, because he's deliberately avoided putting that on. He hasn't shown that on his show. He hasn't read it on his show. You know, people have suggested that they show that, and he's deliberately avoided showing it. So it wouldn't really have made that much of a difference what I put there. You
could have tightened up a little bit. I think you could have improved it to make it a little bit more.
But what difference would it make if he's not letting anyone see it and he's deliberately ignoring it and distorting it himself anyway? He would just still distort it. It would just distort whatever else I put there.
It seems to me you're on the same mission Richard Dawkins is on about for religious indoctrination. He goes on about he calls it child abuse for children to be indoctrinated with a religion. I mean, I think that's taking it a bit far, but you can understand where he's coming from, what he's trying to do, and no doubt, and he's made documentaries about children being.
He made one about faith schools, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's an entire series about Richard Dawkins.
Exactly.
Pretty much a televised version of his books.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I was making the point earlier, though, Rumpus, that this isn't, it wasn't necessarily me sort of campaigning against something, because I think that one of the questions that is very, very poignant to this issue is that, who has the right to question what can be taught to a child? Where do you draw that line? Who do you allow to draw that line?
Well, society does, doesn't it? I mean, society in this country insists that children have the opportunity to go to a school. They're taught certain things, but to equip them for modern life. Otherwise, society is failing them, and they're going to grow up and then be ostracized by society, incapable of functioning in it. So they've got to be equipped with basic knowledge.
Right, but they're taught religion, for instance, which you or I might consider is not true, or some points have been made about where we can draw this line.
I mean, there's a difference definitely between stuff that's taught to children that is not demonstrably true, like, for example, religious positions, and there is stuff that is demonstrably false.
Yeah.
Right. The former can be seen as a set of religious beliefs, for example. Those would fall into the first category, at least some of them. But the latter ones, being points of data that are demonstrably false, those are by definition demonstrably false, and therefore teaching those to children as if they were fact is a form of damage that is done to those people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think demonstratory falsities should not be taught to children in school, and they should be things we can demonstrate that are true as well. I mean, so we can demonstrate the globe is clearly true, and so that is perfectly fine to teach them. There's no question about it. So yes.
What about then on a private basis? Is it okay for a parent to teach that to a child, but then say, for instance, we'll go to school and listen to what they have to say and make your own mind up?
I don't think we can stop that. No. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be impinging upon their freedoms to tell their children what they like. But you can certainly make sure that in school they get told the right thing. If they want to tell their children some stupid thing at home, well, okay, you can't stop that. That's a sort of thought crime type thing. And we have to accept that in a free society. You can't stop them.
Right, I agree with
that. Unfortunately, you can't. Well, unfortunately and practically, you can't stop them. But what you tend to run into in those cases is a sort of neutrality bias. For example, this entire teach the controversy stuff in the United States.
False balance.
Pretty much, yes. And I actually see a danger that this happens with flat earthers as well.
Yeah, I think hopefully children do grow up, I think, with respect for the information they're told at school. And quite often they sometimes actually counter their parents' beliefs, being the whole sort of groupthink effect of the children being in the class, the authority of the school, someone's telling them they got books on this thing, and I think that does equip them, even if we can get them some drivel from their parents. I think that actually does give them enough tools for them to get on with life and fit into society. So that's really, that's what really society's got to do. You've got to equip these children so they're not disadvantaged by their parents. If they're given some silly ideas as well as a bonus, as addition, but I think you need to provide them with the basic tools to work in society. And if society does that, then I think that's really all it should do. And I think a lot of the other stuff, you have to allow the parents to give them various beliefs, because there are so many beliefs you couldn't sort of, and I don't think you could censor. I would like to stop. I really object to the existence of things like Muslim schools and things. So I think that's an outrage, but that's obviously another issue.
I don't know if you know this, but I actually live in the only German state where religious classes are actually mandatory.
Right.
At least for Protestants and for Catholics. Because
does that include all religions or just in Christian?
Well, no, it's pretty much not possible for minorities for obvious reasons, because they don't have enough teachers and everything. But the classes are actually during religious Religious classes, the class is actually divided and reassembled in different groups according to the faiths that,
Oh my God.
that they are
No.
registered. Yeah, it's a fucking shame.
You're into some like really minority faith.
Well, actually, and saying that, actually, as I was brought up as a Catholic, I did actually use the fact that I was a Catholic as an excuse in a school as Protestant to actually not attend the religious classes.
Well, here in northern Bavaria, the split between Catholics and Protestants is pretty much even.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think in my third year, the religious institute says, I've spoken to the priest or something, the local priest, and he says, no, you can, providing you don't attend assembly or something, or sing in assembly, you can attend the religious class. I thought, damn it, bloody priest, why couldn't you have said something different? Bugger.
You're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah, so I didn't want to, so I had to unfortunately do religious education after my third year, which is most annoying.
Yes, exactly. I just want to address something in the side chat. Feno 3000, he's right. There is an opt-out model in most German states, but where you can choose ethics or philosophy classes instead of religious classes. The problem is this is also possible in Bavaria. It's in most schools actually only available, at least in the high schools. That's a little hard to explain because you would have to know the German education system. Like in the more higher classes, like the classes that would lead, when comparing it to the UK, to the A levels, right? It's not like the basic secondary education that you get, but the later years, the more advanced years.
Yeah.
In many schools over here, that's only possible then for the simple reason that there are not enough teachers, right? In primary school, for example, there's no chance in hell that you can get out of religious classes.
I mean, actually, I don't object to the fact that we have a Christian society, and therefore we could teach basically Christian things, and I don't believe we necessarily have to support other religions. I mean,
we do have a Christian society. The thing is, just at least here in Germany, that we are not a Christian country by definition, right? When you take a look at the constitution, I mean, this might be different in the UK for obvious reasons, and also in Denmark, but over here, there's nothing in our constitution that says that the country is particularly Christian. Right, and therefore, in my opinion, at least, religion should be completely out of.
Yes, it's a bit strange. We're a bit strange in the UK because our religion is actually established.
Well,
So it's actually part of the structure of this country. The fact that we have bishops and things in the House of Lords and things, and we have a national religion. The Queen is the head of that thing. And in fact, it's odd that when you have countries that have established religions, I think Sweden's the same case. The actual religious adherence is much lower. It's in the places like America where it's actually there is no established religion. It's actually much more adherence to religious beliefs.
There's a reason for that, because when you have a state religion and you more or less automatically through tradition, you become a member of the church, and the church gets money from the government, it doesn't have to fight to survive.
Yes.
In the US, where every single church has to fight to get butts in the pews and money in the collection plates.
Yeah.
So religion becomes a much bigger thing.
Yes, a market.
I think also
what's it called? There's a guy who does this is this area of study is his thing. He's called something Sugarman or something like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
I think though that also that because we have things like bishops in the House of Lords, and those bishops are kind of selected. I think that that means that there is like a sort of a reverse political influence upon the church, in the people that are have the political power within it, are being chosen by. I think they're chosen by the Prime Minister, actually.
Well, they're given two. I think, for instance, the Archbishop of Canterbury, our top-notch religious leader in the Protestant in the Church of England. I think the church puts 2 or 3 figures forward, and then, as you say, the Prime Minister then selects which one.
Right.
But it can't just pick an arbitrary person. They have to be volunteered by the Church of England. So it's not. Well, yeah, but it does mean it's a bit odd, isn't it? The Prime Minister actually selects.
So he's a political figure, and he's selecting the head of a church. Which,
but They do. I think they do always pick just about always the offering from the whatever what's the name beginning with P that represents the collection of bishops and things.
Right, but is that the
of course the Queen is the ultimate head, of course. I mean, she's the actual ultimate head of the Church of England. Right. So I don't know whether sort of indirectly the Queen gets involved in the selection of the Archbishop of Canterbury, but technically she's above the Archbishop of Canterbury.
There's a great Yes Prime Minister episode, you must have seen it, where they're going through this process. He's selecting, who should be the next Archbishop of Canterbury. And of course, there's, a lot of agonizing and toing and froing as various, skeletons come out the closets of each person, and
I've forgotten that one.
Various political swayings that they've got, come to light, It's yeah, so I don't know how much it, but it does seem to me there must be some sort of backfiring of that, where those people who are being selected are, involved in the political process.
And of course, the Church of England, it's almost not really religion at all. It's more of a social service now, because it has been an established church. It doesn't have any competition, really. Right. It has actually become it's just tries to concern itself with all the people in society and trying to think of their welfare, and actually it's become more of a social service, and you're not really obliged to actually believe anything. I mean, there's even some suggestions, the various archbishops of Canterbury, I'm not actually being religious.
Right.
I mean, let's not forget the Bishop of Durham, who famously, there was a lightning strike on the Durham Cathedral shortly after he said, well, the resurrection story, well, it's just a trick with bones, therefore it's just a trick with bones. It doesn't you can't necessarily infer anything from it. And then it was 2 weeks later, the Durham Cathedral got struck by lightning, and the very famous window was knocked down. So that's the sort of people we've got in the Church of England. They're barely religious.
That's hilarious. So it's actually midnight over here, so I actually like to end this for today relatively soon. Is there anything you guys want to say regarding the topic of Oakley and his minions?
I would just like to say I'm not a paedophile. That isn't true. I'm not gathering information on other people's children. That is a lie. I'm just asking for some help making a YouTube video that covers the subject of kind of education and flat earth and those questions surrounding it that you've heard us discuss tonight.
He explicitly called you a predator, I think, at one point.
Yes, he did indeed call him a predator, yes.
I'll just say this. I'll just say this on this topic. I've already covered it once. Nathan, if you're going to call Jem a pedophile and a predator, you really might want to get on the police about Jeranism's video from 2016, because you're kind of behind the ball on that one.
Behind the ball.
I'm fairly disabled these days, so I'm not actually very predatory, I have to say. I'm more cripply than predatory.
That just means that you're an ambush predator.
Yeah,
lightweight.
I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lowest of the low, isn't it, to go for this? I mean, it's the classic sort of thing. Go for someone. If you can't beat them, call them a pedophile.
Right. I think so, yeah. It is. Playing the paedophile
this is pretty much the worst accusation.
The last straw, really.
Yes, this is pretty much the worst accusation you can make to somebody.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. I don't recall, or I can't imagine something that is worse. Can you?
Not really.
So
maybe killing children.
Murdering them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's actually usually what happens to pedophiles, don't they? If some child gets abducted, they generally get killed as well.
Unfortunately, yes.
So there's a close link between those two.
If Oakley implies that, then fuck him sideways with a rake and no lube.
Yeah, I mean, he's an odious little git, isn't he? I mean, he really is.
He really is, yeah.
He really is odious in the extreme.
I mean, I think he's said some dreadful things to you, Rumpus, over and over again. I don't know how you.
I think at this point he pretty much said something like that to all of us. I mean,
yeah, that's true. You as well, Gio. That's true.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, Ruhif and I mean anybody goes on there. Yeah, I mean even if he thinks he's giving I think he thinks he's giving some sort of performance as though he's on the stage and he's pretending a role or something, and
Yeah,
it's
I
got to make
think
it dramatic. But I don't get, if you behave like a duck, in every regard, then you are a duck. Even if you're putting it on, you've become that character. So shut off, you wanker.
But the thing is, people pay for that character, Rumpus, every day. When he gets all angry and starts shouting at people send, Flat Earthers give him money.
People would watch gladiators fighting one another, wouldn't they? If it was allowed and legal. I've no doubt if there was a channel on the TV that had people being stabbed by one another, then they would probably watch it because it's sort of high drama. So
I must admit, I would
Jerry Springer at Jeremy Kyle Factory.
Exactly.
I would probably also watch.
Guys, I must admit, I would watch a fight between Nathan Oakley on one side and 20 Swans on the other one.
20 Swans?
Yes. Have you ever seen a swan being aggressive? It was fucking dangerous.
They're fucking dicks.
Okay, right. Yeah,
they're not actually that dangerous.
Right, yeah. So
20 of them?
You'll be telling us they break legs next with their wings.
Yeah, they can't.
No, they can't. Yeah, exactly.
I want to insist that Rumpus has a DNA test because I think he may be my long lost parent.
Right.
I think this would add drama to our community. At the moment.
I would certainly pay to watch 20 Swans attack Nathan Oakley. So, so I think Joe's onto something there.
That would be good entertainment.
Exactly. So the point is, people are prepared to watch the extremes. This is why they watch crash videos, people being beaten up, stabbed, knife shot, whatever. They're gonna, and they regard it as something. Oh, look, a bit of excitement on here. A bit bored, perhaps.
I mean, I think it's actually this might be a result of actually our evolutionary development, right? We want to see, or we do have a predatory instinct in a way that needs to be addressed. That's why I think, for example, people are playing shooter games, right? Because there's an instinct of hunting that needs to be satisfied.
Yeah, and being outraged, living dangerously, I think is a bit of excitement. That sort of thing. If you can't shoot someone in real life like the SAS or something, well, you can pretend to do it in a game. And similarly, don't want to shout at your neighbour, you can do it on the internet. And be aggressive and explore explore the possible behaviour that you can have. You can explore all of those things you can't do in real life, but you can try them out on the internet and see what it's like, and explore yourself, your own character, and see how obnoxious you can be.
Right, that's true, isn't it? Yeah.
And then see if you can get away. And then you say you can get away with it. You think, oh my God, Nathan must be thinking, I can be really obnoxious to people. I can treat people like I would never treat in real life. I get punched in the face immediately. But amazingly, on the internet, I can do this. And I've got a mute button, and I can censor all the evidence against my position. And I don't need to answer these arguments. I can just press the censor button. Wow! And then I can abuse them. What my God?
Regarding this,
how do you get paid money as well?
That's why I started responding to their nonsense only on my channel and never going in there, because I thought, well, I feel I need the right of reply,
Regarding this entire muting thing, I actually didn't notice that Nathan muted me while I was talking to him.
Oh, does it all the time?
But you get no feedback. You don't think that you're getting muted. You only notice this when you watch it again. Yeah, I always said 3 or 4 words, and then my audio was put to 0.
Absolutely.
Then of course the audience at least missed 90% of what I actually said.
Yeah, I've experienced this all the time when I'm on there. I knew I could tell the bits where you were being muted, and I was thinking, what if Alex knows that he couldn't be heard here? And this is when I get muted. I then start shouting and screaming a bit in the background, and then they can't. Then people like Riley can't hear what Nathan's saying. So that really gets Riley and Arwen really annoyed because they can't hear Nathan.
But the other people actually noticed that I was speaking. So Nathan must have a mechanism to actually block me from. Because he's doing an OBS thing. He just simply takes the feed off the Hangout and just simply has his own feed from his own thing. Because obviously he's got another Hangout running, so he then pipes the sound into that, and he can obviously detect whether or not it's just him or whether he's taking a feed from the Hangout because he's got the banana thing. So it's very simple. Just slides something up and down. So everybody in the Hangout is muted. He speaks, and then he puts it back up again.
Right.
Very simple. And of course, that's the only, because he doesn't have any counter arguments to the stuff that's presented to him. So he's had to resort, he's learned that the only thing he can do now is to mute, censor, deny reality, deny physics, deny math, deny evidence.
Right.
There is a saying that first they try to fight you, then they try to slander you, and then you win. And I think we're now at the point where Nathan is only able to start slandering because, as you guys said, he's run out of points to make.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of an open goal, obviously. Just imagine he thinks, oh, look, someone's got this thing on children, right? Bang, I can have a go at that. Particularly, I mean, he claimed there were some pictures of his own child on this server. I don't know if this is true or not. And that
I think someone had posted a picture of him in his hangout with his, sometimes.
But I mean, if it's a screenshot of one of his hangouts, then that's his fucking business, isn't it?
Exactly. He's put that up there. I mean, all that business about consent that I had spent 10 minutes on was utter drivel.
Yeah, well, I mean, in public, you don't have a right to privacy. So, although there are, if you went out and filmed people's children, that could get you into trouble.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I don't know how this is dealt with in the UK or in the US for that matter. But here in Germany, actually, you can't even film like for example, dash cams are kind of illegal here because you will inevitably film people that have nothing to do with what you're doing. You have to censor all the number plates and so on and so forth if you actually wanted to do this.
Wow.
Yeah, because for historical reasons, privacy is valued pretty high over here.
Yeah, France is the same, isn't it? Yeah, we're a bit unusual in the UK, being a bit less. Although we're very strong on libel and slander.
For European countries, yes, you're a little bit on the weird side. But internationally, you're pretty average, I guess.
Sorry, UK is or Germany is?
UK is.
Yeah, we're the sort of. Well, actually, the media in the UK is generally regarded as being one of the most ferocious actually in the world, even worse than the Americans even complain about it. But even though our libel laws, I mean, if you go over the top, the libel costs in this, we are the libel capital in the world. Any Americans and things will always come to the UK, and Russians and things always come to the UK to make prosecutions of libel in this country because our awards are so much greater than elsewhere, and because we have the best libel laws in the world. This is a result of that. But we do have a sort of very liberal press. You have to have a good excuse to say something, but if you get caught out, you're going to suffer horribly. But in France, for instance, I think Mitterrand had a mistress for 10 years or something, and the press were frightened of publishing that he did because they would be caught out on the privacy laws in France.
Who had a mistress?
Francois Mitterrand, president of France, for 10 years, and the press.
I don't remember him. Was he before Chirac?
Yes.
Okay, then that was before my time.
Sorry. And then
Mitterrand, yeah, of course. Well,
and Chirac also.
Was in the late 80s, 90s, wasn't it?
He was horribly corrupt, and he'd been paid great wads of cash.
No, he was French.
Yeah, he was French.
Right?
No, I'm talking about Jacques Chirac here. When he was mayor of Paris, he was paid great wads of cash.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, the French press couldn't really press on this because of the privacy laws there, whereas in this country, it would be straight on the front page. So that we do have quite free press here. It is regarded, I think, most ferocious in the world, just about. But our libel laws are quite strong as well. But of course, the cost of bringing a libel action is incredibly expensive. I mean, Len Bitopic, we had a strange MP here who was being abused in the Sunday Times by someone called Rod Little, who just made some silly jokes about him. And he tried to bring a libel case. It cost him 60,000 quid, and he actually lost it in the end. It's incredibly expensive to bring a libel or slander case in this country. Right. And in fact, the judges always make a point of making sure that you lose about 10,000 quid. They never pay all the costs. So even if you win the case, you will still be out of pocket by about 10 or 20,000 quid, even if you win. So bring it. I mean, but the idea of
why do they do that?
I think they just want to reduce. I'm not quite sure why they do it. It just seems to be a principle that they basically try and reduce the libel, because libel is so expensive, and it's just basically someone's reputation. I think they try and make it difficult, basically, to bring libel cases.
Right.
I think they just want to avoid it as a sort of unnecessary part of the legal process. So you will always suffer, but you'll get your reputation back, obviously. But there's no question here that you've been libeled by or slandered and libeled by Nathan Oakley. And of course, he made that phone call. I don't know if you discussed this earlier, Geo. He made that phone call, which you're not allowed to record a phone call without consent of the. I think he did it. The two parties. And that's what Nathan did. He rang up those police. And he made it. You've got an illegal. And YouTube, who thought was rather interesting, actually is witnessing an illegal act. There's illegal in the UK. And presumably, I don't know if it's illegal in the US. You've got him. I mean, Jeremy, you could take him down on that. I think alone. And YouTube, it must be a violation of YouTube services conditions as well. The fact that he's performed an illegal act, which is illegal both in the US and here.
Actually, he most likely has at least done 2 illegal acts. We've established that. The one being the potential slander, and the other one being the fact that he recorded a phone call with police.
Yeah, I mean, he could be in a whole heap of trouble here, Nathan. Actually, he really could.
Yeah, I was thinking about calling this hangout Slenderman, but well, because I love puns, but I kind of figured out that it would like jeopardize the actual seriousness of the
Yeah.
You could call it Nathan Oakley 1980 is a child abuser.
No.
Absolutely. No. Nathan Oakley 1980 is not a person. It's a YouTube channel, and you can say anything you like about it.
Oh, actually, we should call it Oakley the Wanker.
Actually, but when YouTube was about 2 or 3 years ago, you then to have a YouTube channel, you then had to provide them with a number and access to you. Did they not sort of more personalize it then? Rather, it used to be sort of arbitrary anonymous channels, but now because you have to.
Sure that I don't think that just because it would be strange if just because you're using a pseudonym that you have less protection from the law.
I don't think so. I think it has to be a real person with a. It has to be because when you actually fill out the form for a defamation claim on YouTube, you can select either it says this person slandered me or whatever under my real name, my business name. It gives you those 2 options, and that's it. You can't say under my channel name.
Yeah, but he made it very clear about
there isn't an option for other. It's either your real name shown above or your business name.
But he made it very clear when he was talking about. He said it's Jeremy Waternaby. I think even for that is a predator. I thought he meant.
Yeah, I would have to go back because I haven't seen today's. So
is there a transcript? Did Gio? You were saying that the transcript thing wasn't working on his channel. Is that right? On that hangout.
The transcript. You mean the side chat?
Well, you get a script, don't you? In the if you put if you set your hangout parameters in a particular way, it immediately gets a transcript, so you can actually see what was said in there. So you can do searches quite quickly on it. You're not familiar with that?
Yeah, you kind of can, but you have to load it first.
It probably takes a little while for that to process as well.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that would be.
Yeah, but no, it happens quite quickly. It's within.
In the case of Nathan, he actually does us the favor that he also streams the live chat.
Side chat.
So even though
you can't search it though, you can search the transcript.
Yes, even though he takes it down, we might be still able to recover the entire thing. I actually downloaded the Hangout from yesterday, not the 2 ones from today, just in case this stuff actually gets deleted.
Yeah, it's a good idea. What a twat.
I think what a twat is a perfect conclusion to the Hangout.
Yes,
Yes.
I agree, actually. So, to all the, still 170 viewers, thank you guys for watching. And if you're still curious about how this entire thing happened, check out Jampanda's Discord server. Because this is what this entire thing was originally about. Just so that you can check out for yourself that what Nathan claims this Discord server is about is not actually what it is about. Oh, Nathan Oakley's in the side chat. Let's see.
Yeah, we're advertising you're a twat, Nathan. Yeah.
Block.
And you're a moron, and you censor reality.
That's not the real Nathan.
Oh. Wait a second.
Fake Nathan. I thought it might be.
Ah, what a shame. You're still using the same name. Why don't you be a little? Why aren't you a little bit more creative? Like the Liar of Riley, for example.
Well, he was complaining that Jen wasn't in his hangout. So are we not entitled to complain that Nathan isn't here?
No,
No,
because we
because I actually
deliberately
didn't
didn't
invite
invite
him.
him.
No,
Because
if
that's
he wants
not what
to,
the
if he
hangout
wants to
is
talk
about.
about this, obviously he can, but I wouldn't do it in this format because I'm right here. At least I'm using Google Hangouts on air, and he would be able to snipe this.
Oh, right.
So if he actually wants to join to talk about this, obviously I won't be able to do this today anymore because it's let's see, 12:50 a.m.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got to admit, I'm
12:50
yawning.
a.m. We would do it tomorrow, but obviously we would use a different format. I would use OBS and then probably do the voice chat via the standard Google Hangout thing. Because if he does snipe, then I just restart it and do another one without having to restart the stream.
Yeah, Nathan's addicted to kicking people out of his hangouts. No doubt he would bring that same addiction to other people's hangouts as
Yes,
well.
but obviously we all know that he won't join a hangout in which he isn't in full control. After the ass kicking we've given him on Steve McRae's channel.
Yes,
Right.
that wasn't that great.
Yes,
But
that was
he ran
great.
away, didn't he? In the
He
end,
did. He couldn't cope with it. He couldn't, when he couldn't deny, he couldn't censor the evidence and the argument. That was it. I'm off.
Yeah. How long did it take him to rage quit? Like 40 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, 45. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Riley stayed a little longer. I think he was there about 1.5 hours, maybe, and then the third one, which was it Chris Monk?
Yes, who's now become a Glober, of course.
What? Yes.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, he's now become a Glober.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I think that's another thing that's been going on. I think they wanted to distract from that because, of course, Chris Monk's played a big part in what they've been doing on that hangout, and
I think you're taking it a bit far there, Jeremy. I know you like these bit of conspiracy things. I don't think people are this clever of trying to distract this from that.
Oh, they're very, very calculating, Rumpus. They plan what they're going to say. They have meetings before that thing. I don't think you realise what lengths they go to
I think I go to lengths, but I think we can be overly paranoid too about what they get up to. Or what they think they're doing. I think people don't.
Paranoid. They've said they do this, so
it is
over time.
It is Nathan, apparently.
Come out.
Oh, let's see if this is the right Nathan. Check channel. Nope. Also fake Nathan.
It is me, you morons.
I was convinced.
Oh, it's someone being funny. Leave them, won't you? Don't bang them.
Yeah, okay, I'll leave them. Okay, so
it's a shame we don't have time to interview him. He'd probably come up with some good answers. Sorry, go ahead.
Ooh, Riley or
no,
Nathan?
This fake Nathan.
Oh, the fake. Well, so fake Nathan. What's your opinion on this entire thing? We have to wait about 30 seconds because there's a delay.
Right, he's just going to call me a pedo. Probably. I think his opinion's fairly well known.
Yeah, Fano, I don't think this is a sock account. I think this is a parody account. So this is not Nathan who is speaking. This is somebody who pretends to be Nathan.
Yeah.
There's only one Nathan Oakley. Actually, looks like there are at least 2 channels that he's using most of the time. Oh yeah, Jared, I know you're using what's it called? Google Meetings?
Yeah,
that one is indeed unsnipeable.
I think you have to pay for that, don't you?
Yeah, it costs about $10 or so a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we said.
Oh, you're all pedos, he says.
No, I won't invite fake Nathan on. Because he might still be sniping. And I won't risk this. Actually, I'm gonna end it now, once and for all. So, we're gonna do this in the good old rhetoric way. So, let's start with you, Rumpus. Say what you have to say and get the hell out of here.
Nathan is a twat. Bye.
Bye. That was a good summary. Micro.
I don't have anything more to add. He's a twat.
Okay. And finally, actually, before you say something, Jem, I'm actually gonna make my last sentences because I think you deserve the last statement in this hangout. So again, first of all, thanks for watching this. And second of all, if you want to check out, if you seriously want to see what Nathan said in person, you can check out his Hangouts 390 and 391. I don't recommend it because it's fucking painful, but if you're seriously curious about this, then go ahead. And if you think it's necessary to, well, flag him for it, then I can't recommend it, but I understand why you would do it. So yeah, there's that. And that's it. So, Jim, it's your turn.
I will echo the former sentiments and add Nathan is a silly twat.
Okay.
Good night.
So, goodbye, guys. See you in the next few days, maybe.